Support for this show comes from Lead Quizzes. Lead Quizzes helps you easily set up high-converting quizzes to capture and qualify leads for your business. Visit leadquizzes.com/podcast to get a 14-day free trial today.
So we sort of did it big for our Canada video. We had a lion, literally a big, giant live lion. And I was getting changed in a hockey change room, standing like 10 feet away from a lion that wasn't like caged. It was insane. So like we kind of go over the top with our videos so that it's like, holy crap, like what are these guys doing? Like, what is this video? Like this lion sort of thing. And Bilzerian was in that one at the time. So we kind of had like these reasons to like pop and get people's attention and put that into the pitch.
From Lead Quizzes, it's Journey to Seven Figures, a show about entrepreneurs and the stories behind how they grew their business to seven figures and beyond. We cover the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the lessons they learned along the way. So welcome back to Journey to Seven Figures. Today I'm interviewing Alex Brown. Alex co-founded the Beard Club, formerly known as Dollar Beard Club, a subscription service for men in their beard care. They've generated 200 million viral video views. They've shipped over 1.7 million boxes and have grown to over $15 million in sales, hitting 11 million in just their first year. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this interview. I know there's like 3 or 4 topics I want to go really deep with your marketing. But before you guys launched the Beard Club, let's talk about your background. You guys had an agency. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, actually, the story of the Beard Club coming to be is it actually kind of happened quite naturally. I met my business partner, Chris, through a mutual friend, and we just really hit it off. And he's a super creative, sort of borderline insane, amazing dude. I just had all these amazing ideas and video ideas and just had this incredible ability to bring things together. And I was sort of more of an operations systems kind of person. So we met and we just hit it off. And at the time he had a wearables company, which the timing wasn't really correct for. We were a little slow to market. So things didn't work out for that. We also had a golf product that we'd started together. And we just started, I guess, really like fell in love with like launching stuff and doing launch campaigns for products and other people. And we found a knack for it and doing Indiegogo campaigns and Kickstarter campaigns through the products we were launching ourselves, which, didn't end up becoming our full-time businesses, but failure can be a pretty good thing in that sense. So we started an agency and we thought, hey, this could pay the bills. Like, let's shoot videos for people and do websites and just kind of helped other people launch their businesses and teach them what we learned. And that was doing okay for a little bit. We started a company called Coolbox. We did a crowdfunding campaign for that, which was pretty successful. We did about $500,000 in sales, and it's kind of a smart toolbox with lights and speakers and sounds, lights and speakers and all sorts of bells and whistles, like a plug-in pass-through power stuff. So Chris actually ended up on Shark Tank for that. So that did extremely well. And we kind of stepped away from the agency at that point, which was doing okay, but we were still really struggling a lot. There was lots of times where Chris and I would sleep in the backyard. I slept in our garage for a month while we were trying to pay the bills and Airbnb our rooms just to kind of keep things afloat. So the struggle was definitely real at that point, looking back in perspective, but Coolbox was doing really well. We went on Shark Tank, ended up signing a deal to license the product out with Kevin Harrington, who's a former Shark and now a really good friend of ours. Him and his team are relaunching that product as an entertainment cooler and taking it to retail, which is their bread and butter and what they do. And so around that time, we also started the Beard Club. And it was because we had, we at that time had 6 guys working with us. We all lived in a house. We were all trying to really push things happen. We were kind of saying no to synthetic things and looking to really eat healthy and live healthy and organic. And we were all growing our beards because we thought that was organic and cool and a great way to express who we really were and grow into our own true self. And we started to use beard products too. We're like, this is kind of cool. We're in an age where men can use cosmetics and won't get them labeled as one thing or another. It's just an actual new category that's being created as beard care. And we're putting these products on. We realized they were $20 for an ounce of beard oil. I, in another life, had done consulting for contract manufacturing companies and pharmaceutical cosmetics companies to help them find manufacturing partners and various other things. And I was like, we can get this made for way cheaper. We can use what we're already doing for video production to do some really fun videos, to really do a subscription service and do a one-to-many thing and do high volume instead of what everybody else out there is doing right now, is just really low volume, really high prices with the same quality products. So we built a bit of an email list to launch with. We had a couple of advisors that were really great with influencers, influencer marketing, that helped us get a bit of a push going. And we saved up some money, we borrowed some money, and we got a bunch of products made, cosmetics products in the US, and then our hard goods like our brushes and combs over in China, and just did a sort of a minimum run. And we thought this could be cool and maybe it'll generate a little bit of income for us. And after the first 2 days, things started to really pick up and we hit product hunt, then we hit BuzzFeed, and our video just started getting seeded everywhere. It's just sort of like the dream, more or less, of like launching a company and having it go viral and, doing all kinds of sales all at once. And then things sort of started to, the happiness wore off a little bit in a couple different contexts. We outgrew our manufacturer. We quickly ran out of inventory. We had several customer service nightmares on our hands. We kind of broke our website, and we had skip charges and skip double charging people just because we had so much traffic going on. We were trying to make updates to do things like incorporate an influencer marketing platform or an ambassador program where we could actually do referral marketing between our customers, like stuff that we didn't really even think about in the beginning. We tried to add on, so our website started to break down. So we did really great in launching and getting this thing seen by so many people and acquiring a lot of customers. And then we started to really experience a lot of growing pains, and all of them were good pains to have. Unfortunately, we built a really strong brand and we were able to keep going. But yeah, it's been this incredible journey of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and learning and really figuring out where we are in the marketplace and how to continually grow and continually accelerate. And it could have easily just kind of come crashing down when we did hit 7 figures a couple months in per month. There were lots of difficulties that could have easily turned us the other way. We just sort of pushed through and pursued and learned from our mistakes and incorporated that wisdom into what we were doing. And yeah, we're still trying to figure it out and still trying to learn as many lessons as we possibly can to just take the business to the next level. But it's been quite the journey. We've got experience in quite a lot of areas and super grateful for all of it, even sleeping in the garage.
Awesome. So let's rewind things a little bit. So you guys started back in 2015. It sounded like Cool Blocks was kind of the first thing you kind of had some like relative success with. But before that, it sounded like you had 3 to 4 different projects. How many years did it take you to finally start feeling like you guys got some traction, some success?
About 28 years. Chris and I really met about 3.5 years ago. I'm actually from Toronto, and so is he. And so we actually met in California. And that was sort of his pitch, was come to California and we'll get you a work visa. And, I want your skills and abilities down here. And it was really cold at the time in Canada. So I thought this could be a great opportunity. But really all in, like, to now, it's been about 4 years, 3.5 years of just trying different things and seeing what sticks. But before that, I had my own business doing construction. I'd worked in the startup world, sort of here and there, which I mentioned, in the contract manufacturing stuff. So since I left college, I've been dabbling with entrepreneurship in various different ways in the startup space. But it's really been 3.5 years of launching products and doing Indiegogo stuff and learning about e-commerce and internet marketing. So it's been about that long until we figured out what our niche really was and how to make it happen, more or less.
Yeah, cool. I think that's a great point, because I think you got to learn it at some point, so you can pay someone to do it, or you can pay, the dumb tax of having to figure it out yourself, either for your own company or working for someone else.
Yeah, I paid a lot of taxes in my day, I got to say.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys hit $1 million in 3 months, 100,000 in 3 weeks. So you guys grew really fast. And so I want to jump into some of the marketing things you guys talked about. So one of the first thing was you guys said you built an email list of 50,000 people that you could launch these products to. So do you want to kind of go into like the strategy of how you guys did that?
It was 15,000. I probably misspoke.
Okay.
But yeah, essentially we were running a lot of contests. I guess we kind of hit an easier perspective on this. Like, people had seen Dollar Shave Club. So when we were talking about Dollar Beard Club, they sort of got it right away. And they were like, oh, cool, I get it. I have a beard. I'd be willing to try some of their products. So our first early adopters were really the low-hanging fruit of people that got it right away. They were probably already ordering those products from other people and were willing to try this concept. And they just kind of fell in love with the video. But we were running a lot of contests actually to, I guess, opt-ins for free product, different stuff. We were using Gleam, I think it was, Gleam.io. But there's a lot of great platforms out there, like Contest Domination and stuff like that you can look into. But contests are really big for us, and just kind of running Facebook traffic to some like fun images and memes and just like really exciting content. We were just trying to find the memes out there that were the most popular in like the beard space and sort of like promote our page and bring people into like our warm network and eventually onto our email list and stuff like that. And knowing now what we know about building an email list, we could have really done a lot better at that. But that was definitely a huge, huge thing for us, was to have that warm network and try and internalize that list to be able to promote to it.
Okay.
Kind of again and again.
So that's like contests, is kind of similar to quizzes. It's going to be something really engaging. It's probably a lot cheaper. Do you know how much you guys spent to build that 15,000 person email list?
I actually don't know. I could find out for you, but I don't know offhand. That was our Facebook marketer, Kyle, at the time. Actually.
Okay.
He helped us build that whole list.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you guys built this list of 15,000. Did you have a good strategy to keep them like warm before your guys' product launched?
So I will be fully honest. No, we did not. We were really overstretched. And not only that, we didn't see the importance of email marketing. And that's still to this day a lesson that we're incorporating, we didn't pursue email marketing as a strategy. We didn't realize the massive return on investment it has. And we didn't really see list building as that big of an advantage for us. Later on, we found out that not only is it amazing for acquisition, but it's amazing for retention and onboarding and building the relationship with people. So we weren't doing the proper sort of warm up and keeping people engaged on our list. And we could have really capitalized a lot better. And that's just a silly lesson we learned the hard way. Paid the idiot tax. Is that what you said it was?
Yeah, the dumb tax.
Dumb tax. That was it. Yeah.
I think I got that from Mike Dillard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you guys built that. And then let's talk about one of the next things you guys did was you guys started creating like influencers. So you guys got like Dan Bilzerian, who has, last I checked, 23 million followers. And you guys had a couple other big people. Can you talk through why you guys chose to go out to influencers and how did you build those relationships?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, initially it was two of our advisors, Brandon Hampton and Dan Fleischman. They at the time had an influencer marketing sort of boutique agency where they had helped they were really early on the platforms, especially Brandon. He has a lot of handles like @money, @CEO on Twitter and Instagram. And they're really early to, I guess, building a presence on there. So not only did they own their own traffic and all of these pages, we brought them on as advisors because they knew a ton of people in the industry in like the celebrity sort of influencer world. And they're just really smart guys in business. So aligning with people that were in the influencer world was our biggest secret to success there because we were able to get posts from some of these different accounts at a discounted rate. But to be perfectly honest, in the beginning, we were really just kind of shooting in the dark with like, hey, let's see if Sarah Underwood will do a post and how much is this going to cost? And, worked with a number of different influencers like Sarah. And eventually Dan came on board as our first sort of like angel investor because him and Chris had a relationship and he was immediately attracted to the Beard Club. And we started talking with him about that. But we enjoyed the fact that we were very new with influencers. And I think people that are just starting off in influencer marketing, if they get the right match, can find like a really sweet spot with some of these people that have, 3 million followers or 20 million followers in Dan's case. And what I would encourage all of you out there watching to do more like micro influencer level, you have people that have really engaged followings, influencers that have really engaged followings that are more so quality over quantity. That's, I think, a great opportunity. But for us, it was sort of enjoying that newness factor and just kind of seeing what works. And that's something that we can look to kind of scale up in the future actually for acquisition and for brand building is kind of working with more so the people that have really targeted, highly engaged following. And I think that's where the greatest return on investment for most people is going to be seen. Not that you can't get if you pay Dan Bilzerian to do a post, your business could just absolutely blow up. And we saw days where he would post a video and we would acquire 8,000 customers over the next week or so. So it's certainly an amazing thing to be able to have that at your disposal. But I would just encourage people not to get, I guess, like overly excited about the quantity over the quality because there is a difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then so for someone, let's say someone's starting out, if they're looking to get into like influencer marketing, how did you guys kind of negotiate rates? Or was there always like this kind of mix of like they were either an investor with you or they got some kind of equity in your company? How does that work?
So we've had like a variety of deals. Like we now have like Richard Sherman from Seattle Seahawks is I guess an advisor for us, does some work for us as an influencer. We have Dan, obviously, who has equity in the business. But we've also just done sort of straight up cash deals. Most of them have been through our relationship with Dan and Brandon. But really moving forward, we're actually going to be looking to kind of get into some influencer marketing platforms. And there's a ton of them out there. Some of them are really great and will allow you to actually kind of do a search to see who might fit your demographic and what your product is, and then kind of organize the outreach. And I think that's probably your best bet if you're starting off, and it's something that we're going to kind of return to. You can certainly build relationships with people individually. It just becomes incredibly time consuming, and there's a lot of sort of the administrative things to do, which if you're just sort of bootstrapping and scaling and looking, if there's a couple wish list people that you have, that could be really good. But these platforms also let you see what their demographics are like, which is like a verified thing of you might think that this influencer has 1 million followers, realizing that maybe only 4,000 of them are your actual target market. So you can kind of like get a little deeper into actual data if you use a platform. There's fees associated with it, but it could make your life a lot easier.
Okay.
So that's what I would suggest. Instead of having people like we did have access to, if you don't have that, then I would try and check into some platforms and see what's out there.
Okay. Is there one or maybe a couple that you would recommend?
I'm actually kind of in the process of looking into a couple myself. So I can't really make a recommendation because I don't fully know yet. And
okay.
I try to stray away from giving advice that I don't actually know how to give.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so before we move on, another thing is like advisors. You talked about having these advisors that have been really influential. how did you get connected with these guys and how do you create that relationship? Is it an equity thing? Or are you guys paying them on a quarterly basis or like, are they just volunteering? How does that work?
It's a variety of things. For most people that aren't in a position to pay someone a retainer, it's really about building a relationship and really like heavily about the vision. If you have like a solid vision for your company and you can pitch that vision to someone and they get it, they're going to be like, cool, I'm not as concerned about making money up front. I see where this person is going and I see where they're taking this company and I want to be a part of that. And that's really something that I've learned actually from my business partner, Chris, is how to sell that vision. And he's probably the best salesperson I've ever met. He sold me on moving countries, but just really having the ability to know where you're going and to attract people to that vision is super huge. So like that coupled with just relationship building. And I think I've been in this position too. Everyone's sort of quick to really try and put all the, the chips on the table and say like, hey, come over here and work with me. Not realizing that there's longer, bigger game plays at stake here. And, you might not necessarily work with an influencer or an advisor on this business, but this might not be your only business. In fact, it's probably likely that if you're very successful at it, you'll likely sell it. If you're not successful at it, you'll probably start something new and you're not going to go back to a corporate job and work for someone ever again if you already are. So I guess to cap all of that long-winded answer off would be just to be able to provide value for people, sell your vision. And if they don't see the vision, then just be fine with that and just seek to provide value for them in any way you possibly can. And eventually they're going to want to work with you and they'd be silly not to if you can provide real value for them.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think a lot of the mentorship relations I've had, whether it's mentor or advisor, a lot of times they always say they get as much out of it as you do. So
yeah,
there's definitely value there. Like even if you can't provide them money or equity or like whatever that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So one of the next things that you guys did was you guys created this video. Tell me about the video you guys created.
Yeah, so the video was a lot of fun and we still have a lot of fun shooting videos. That's basically how we've built our brand is by, video marketing. And if you guys aren't building videos, I would highly recommend it. So we had a lot of fun doing this. Like I said, rented at a warehouse. We basically bootstrapped this video. Most of our videos are actually bootstrapped. And it seems like the more we're able to bootstrap them, the better they do because they're so much more authentic and raw. But we shot it at our friend's warehouse and just kind of brought in as much as we could for as little money as possible because we had no money. We shot the video actually 6 months before we launched the Beard Club. We were just kind of lining up all sorts of other things. So we had lots of time to edit it and make changes and whatnot. But overall, it cost us about $1,800 to shoot. And, to date, that first original video made us probably, I would say 2.5, 3 million. It was on our homepage forever and just did a really great job. It went viral as our first real, brand building sort of thing. And since then, we've done, a number of different videos. Some of them done extremely well. Some of them haven't done so well and just kind of learn from our mistakes in that as well.
Okay, very cool. We'll get back to the show in a minute, but first a quick thanks to our sponsor, Lead Quizzes. If you want to grow your business to 7 figures and beyond, you must learn how to generate leads predictably. When I first started my business, lead generation felt like riding a roller coaster. I would have huge sales months and then months with nothing. This happened because I relied solely on referrals and networking to grow my business. Predicting growth and investing in the future were frightening because I didn't have control over my lead generation. That was before we created Lead Quizzes. Now I predictably generate leads in my sleep and have stopped worrying about where the next sale will come from. Top marketers like Neil Patel and Lewis House have used Lead Quizzes to increase their lead capture by up to 500%. Think about it. Quizzes are fun, engaging, and you can offer personalized feedback in exchange for your quiz taker's contact information. Lead Quizzes is a software that allows you to set up high-converting quizzes quickly without having to hire an expensive programmer. In fact, our users have generated over 3 million leads for their businesses. Take control of your lead generation today and start your 14-day free trial by going to leadquizzes.com/podcast. So you guys bootstrap this. You guys have an email list put together. You have influencers lined up. Talk to me a little bit about how did you guys then go out and get PR, get a bunch of viral videos and drive as much traffic as you guys did? When you guys were ready to go, what did you line up so that it was ready to go?
Yeah. So at the time, Hampton and Fleischman, the influencer marketing guys, they also had media sites. So they posted that on First Slice, their media site. We also actually didn't do much of it ourselves. It was very organic, but we've since learned that there's lots of tips and tricks and stuff that you can use. Reddit was really huge for us because the video was great and it got picked up on Reddit and people started talking about it hey, this is a thing. Dollar Beard Club's a thing. And that kind of spilled over to Product Hunt. So there's ways to do Reddit and product hunt really well. And there's also ways that you can get kicked off of Reddit forever if you do it improperly, because the community is very strong there. But those two sites are really great for our early adopters. And if you've built an email list, you can sort of send traffic to those posts within reason. You can't really bribe people to go and upvote something because that gets kind of sniffed out pretty quickly. But you can probably be a little more successful on product hunt with that strategy. But really, I've done a lot of the media stuff myself, and it's the same sort of thing as working with advisors and influencers. It's really trying to figure out how to add value. It's kind of figuring out what the story is for them and why they would want to cover you, because it probably means the world for you to get into Huffington Post or BuzzFeed. But unless it's really cool, they probably could care less because they have a million different things coming across their coffee shop desk, coffee shop table, because not a lot of people have desks anymore. But it's kind of positioning yourself in a way that's relevant and actually having something that's worthy of reaching out to. There's a really cool tool as well called Press Rush. I think it's pressrush.com. And that's actually been a way that I've managed to get in touch with a number of different writers and contributors and journalists. I think it's like $100 a month or $90 a month, but you can actually message people through this platform. You can search like people that have written, say you're in beard care, for example. You can look up people who've covered Harry's or Dollar Shave Club or for the Beard Club or whatever, and you're trying to compete with us in a way. Like look up people that have written on these different subjects, and you can actually reach out to them directly, or it'll show you their email. So that's a super useful platform. But again, if you have a journalist email, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get covered. There's no real golden way to actually approach someone in the press. But really, I couldn't stress enough, trying to build relationships with people for the long term and actually not reaching out and asking for something unless it's actually worth covering and something cool. Like we've even ran to that, like unless we have a really cool, I guess like PR spin on our new video, we can't just reach out and be like, hey, we have a new video. Do you want to like cover this? And this is really cool, because they'll be like, oh, it's like your 12th commercial. We don't really care. But if there's a really cool like relevance thing, like it's November and Beard Club's putting out, we did this last November because it's a really big month. We put out a one video every single day for 30 days. So like that was cool because we were changing up how we did marketing. Instead of putting all our chips in one basket and doing one big one, we did like a number of different videos, and that was a really great strategy change for us. So if you have something that's different and exciting, then you can kind of reach out. And we've learned to try not to reach out when we don't have something different and exciting.
So what was your original story that you guys reached out with?
We actually had a lot of inbound organic stuff, but then it was sort of like based on like our next big video was when we launched Canada. So then I was kind of reaching out to different blogs within Canada. So we sort of did it big for our Canada video. We had a lion, literally a big giant live lion. And I was getting changed in a hockey change room, standing like 10 feet away from a lion that wasn't like caged. It was insane. So like we kind of go over the top with our videos so that it's like, holy crap, like what are these guys doing? Like, what is this video? Like this lion sort of thing. And Bilzerian was in that one at the time. So we kind of had like these reasons to like pop and get people's attention and put that into the pitch. And it just sort of reminded me, another trick that I've used throughout the years is kind of like anonymous tips and getting people to write in from a different email address that's not a company email address and just sending the video like, hey, I'm a BuzzFeed reader and I thought this video was cool. You guys should check it out. And I've actually gotten, on different publications just from submitting anonymous tips, because that can be quite sort of like false organic, but you're just putting it in their hands of like, if they really think it's cool, then they're going to cover it. And you did them a favor by tipping them off. So it doesn't hurt to put those out there.
Yeah.
And I would say the best thing to do is kind of make a list of those like blogs and trying to find those people maybe with Press Rush or researching those people ahead of time and kind of tweeting them. But like if you have a hit list of 50 people or blogs, like just you have something newsworthy, you can kind of push it out and pitch it out and figure out different ways to do it. And yeah, like I said, if it's interesting and they want to cover it, you're doing them a favor by getting something interesting in front of them, because that's what they're really looking for, is interesting stuff to share with their readership.
Yeah. And did you follow some of the strategies of like Ryan Holiday with like his book, Trust Me, I'm Lying, where you'd get in like a smaller publication, then you just leverage that to get into bigger and bigger ones?
Totally. Yeah. And another thing too is sort of using embargoes. Like, so if we've had a really big marketing campaign that's about to drop, we could offer that as an exclusive to whether it's Inc. or Entrepreneur or somebody, just be like, hey, this is a really cool story. Like when we licensed Coolbox, or when we, had a big November campaign with like 2 years ago, we had a whole bunch of influencers like Richard Sherman. Everyone in our video was an influencer and did like a California tourism style commercial. So we offer that as an exclusive to one publication. And then once that's out, you can leverage that and be like, hey, this is newsworthy and stuff. So yeah, it's really like PR is a tough thing. I used to actually like detest PR agencies because it was like you never knew what you were going to get if you paid them a retainer, but I have just a new level of respect for people that have relationships with journalists and know how to pitch it. And there's still no saying like you can guarantee get something in a media, in a media website. But another cool, I guess, like tactic, you don't want to be greasy about it, but like saying that you're going to spend additional money to send traffic to an article and just say, my intent is to have this, if it's in Forbes or whatever, to have this rank on the homepage. So we're going to send a really good amount of traffic to this because we think it's going to be a great piece and it's brand building for us. And then we'd like to have your article trending on the homepage. So that's going to be great for you too. That can kind of add a little bit of value for them too. But you don't want to make it seem like that's like your only angle. It's like, hey, we want this to be for acquisition. We're going to send a ton of traffic to it. So you should write about it. Kind of have to be a little more, I guess, a little more soft and massage that sort of fact in as a benefit for them.
Okay. Awesome. So you guys, we talked about a lot of the marketing. You guys came up with this idea. How did you find the manufacturer to make this for you guys?
So we actually did a bit of a contract manufacturer search. We had a friend of ours who'd been helping us source products for our clients, when we had the agency in China. So using him, and there's lots of sourcing agents you can find overseas, or you can find manufacturers on Alibaba and stuff. That was really helpful for us because it can be quite difficult to find reliable manufacturers there. Our cosmetics are all made in the US. So it was really a matter of just kind of Google searching, going through databases of contract manufacturers. And I kind of made a list of 20 potential manufacturers, their capabilities. And it's really hard to make apples to apples comparisons because this one might do all of the labeling integrated, but another one might not do labeling. So you have to send a finished product to the other one and account for all that. But I basically made this master spreadsheet that just kind of listed them all out, their websites, the contact people, the status of the discussions, and tried to move them all along and progress them all along to the point of a quote that was as close to apples to you can get, more or less, including lead times and, costs, their distance to your fulfillment center, which adds cost and adds a couple days to your lead time if it's across the country. So it was basically just a lot of grunt work searching. It's great to, even once we found that partner happened to be local, we then moved to another manufacturer. So I went back to that sheet and added more names, and just to have kind of a directory of people that could potentially manufacture your product is great. Not only that, but you should always kind of have a backup because you never know what's going to happen with someone else's business. And if you have all of your chips in one basket, if your manufacturer goes belly up or if they get sued or any number of things can happen in somebody else's world, if your world is going to be held hostage by somebody else's, it's not a good position for you to be in. And investors don't like to see that. You probably shouldn't like to see that either. So just having redundancy set up for whether it's fulfillment or manufacturing or marketing, whatever, is always good. Within reason, you can't just go and I have 12 manufacturers ready to go. You probably don't have time for that. But, to have a close second or a close third where you can pivot if need be could end up saving your business.
Okay. That's great advice. Awesome. So you guys put all this marketing together. You guys push pretty hard. You get 100,000 in your first 3 weeks and $1 million in your first 3 months. Can you walk me through what was that like for you guys on fulfilling it and kind of managing the business growing that quickly?
Yeah, it was interesting. That's for sure. It was just a lot of celebration at first. Hey, well, this is actually happening. We're doing this. Oh my God, things are going really well. And then, like I said, we started to have issues in our fulfillment. Our initial fulfillment partner didn't have a lot of technology integrated with our website, which was kind of a custom website. So they weren't talking properly. We actually had to send them a spreadsheet of orders at the end of every day, which was fine when it was a couple hundred, but when it got to be a couple thousand, it was a serious issue. So we had to move to a partner that had a little more technology integrated and could be a little quicker and faster and more accurate, most importantly. So initially we had delays in shipping that could be 3, 4, or 5 days before it even went out the door. And then another 3, 4, 5 days in your subscription service. So if somebody gets their product and 15 days later they get recharged, they haven't even had a chance to use the product. So they're really upset. And then when your customer service has a backlog of 2 or 3 days, like we did initially because of some of these issues, and we had to onboard customer service agents, there was a lot of struggles going on. We were really trying to figure out how to build systems and standard operating procedures. And that's sort of the really big takeaway for us is to have a really scalable business really relies on having, redundancies, like I said, in case things aren't working out, but also standard operating procedures. So how does a customer service agent refund an order and how do they respond to this ticket, and building macros and Zendesk and stuff like that. Being able to onboard people or offboard people depending on the ticket queue for customer service, or having a way for if somebody's sick, who else is going to be able to place a PO other than you if you have a team, or if it's just kind of you and another person, kind of documenting all of the processes that are really critical and that you can have somebody come on and take over one of those processes. has really been like a huge lesson learned for us. And we didn't know it was going to go that big that quick. I mean, you don't need to really plan out all of your standard operating procedures to a T because they will change and they will evolve as you grow. But having the basic listed out is going to be super, super helpful for when you do hit those big scale points and things are a little crazy. Yeah, building those in is just a great idea. And trying to think ahead of anything that might break and trying to break it ahead of time is always good. And if you are thinking of using influencers, you can see a huge spike in traffic. So just knowing, hey, you might get 1,000 orders this day because you've just paid $10,000 for a post or something like that. You need to let your fulfillment center know that that's going to happen. You need to be prepared for, a lot of things that might happen around that. So kind of trying to have the foresight for those things is super helpful. But yeah, I guess in another long-winded way, there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened in those first 3 months, and still like crazy stuff happens all the time. But standard operating procedures would have helped us a lot. We have those now. We're still building them out and still evolving as our business evolves. But great planning to kind of try and see things that might break before they happen. It's just sort of like something I learned in construction. It's just like, if I put these two things together, what does that mean for that thing over there?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure those things out are really important.
So was that like pretty scary for you guys? Did you guys ever feel like you're going to implode, like growing too quickly?
No, I mean, like we were still like super amped and super excited, and we knew that what we had was successful. So we're like, whatever it is, we'll push through this. But there were certainly moments that were just agonizing, like working through the weekend one weekend. I remember pretty much all of us were doing customer service tickets. We're like, what are we doing? Like, we should have a team doing this. And we're like, we can't do all of this like fulfillment stuff and marketing stuff. We're focused on this. And we eventually got caught up and figured everything out for that. So yeah, there were those agonizing points getting down in the weeds and in the trenches for a lot of this stuff to pull it out. But we knew that we had something special. So it was very encouraging and we never got too down on it. But yeah, certainly some difficult times in there.
Okay, awesome. And then Alex, like with any kind of subscription-based business, obviously like once you get sales, the next like biggest problem is like retention. So can you walk us through some of the I guess, struggles or strategies you guys did to increase retention of your customers?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a really big, important lesson for us to learn. Not only just with like, especially when you have a subscription-based business, you need to prioritize retention because you can be bringing 1,000 people on a day, but unless you're retaining a lot of them, you're just kind of treading water, right? So we were so amped on how many people we were bringing on. We weren't even thinking about how many people were dropping off and how to kind of measure that and optimize that process. We were just sort of letting people go more or less. We weren't paying attention to the people that were signing up for a subscription and canceling the next day, realizing that they actually didn't want to be subscribers. They just want to try something out. We weren't doing any email marketing for the first, I guess, better part of a year in terms of like having an indoctrination sequence for like, hey, this is how you use the product. Not realizing a lot of people were just trying this beard care thing out for the first time and didn't really know, didn't have a habit built. So they weren't using all of their products, and really like helping people understand how to use the products, what it means to be a member of the Beard Club, like what some of the other benefits are, as well as having, I guess, like content and benefits for members themselves. So we really like went through this evolution of not prioritizing retention at all and realizing it's just one of the most important things. And like I said, it's not just for subscription-based businesses. It's more apparent for subscription-based businesses, but there's so many adages. It costs so much more to acquire a new customer than to retain an old one. And if you actually shift your focus to retention and to the customer experience, I believe, and I think there's plenty of examples out there that show that you can actually turn your retention department or your efforts into a profit center in terms of keeping people on longer for the long term, or having them refer friends and bring in new business, or being able to actually upsell them when they go to cancel their subscription. Like, oh, you haven't even tried our shampoo, or like, let me give you a free money clip and you can put that in your next box if you want. And testing out all those sorts of strategies. So that's been a huge, huge thing for us, is just figuring out different ways to really make the experience special for people. And like even the next chapter of that is something I'm super excited about, which is building out an exclusive members area, an exclusive members community for anyone that's a Beard Club member. Can have content that's specially curated by a lot of the influencers we know that are in fitness and survival skills and all these niches that men love, having like awesome exclusive content that we're providing to them. And as much value as we can possibly offer to somebody that gets on our email list or subscribes to our service, even if it's for 1 month, just wants like one beard oil, we want to be able to talk to those people for the next 2-3 years and keep them interested and keep providing value for them. So shifting away from, first we were like, oh, we probably shouldn't email people because then they'll remember to cancel. And how do we like retain people for longer and get more money out of them, to now being, how do we retain people's attention and how do we become providers of value for them on a really long timeline, to the point where they want to come to us for their purchasing decisions. We have information that's really valuable to them. So it's kind of like shifted away from the immediate gratification into the long-term, like, let's make sure these people trust us and love us and be more of a media channel and a provider to them. And of course, when they want beard products, they're going to come to us, but they're going to come to us for so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of our retention renaissance, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, we kind of made the same mistake with lead quizzes when we first started running, like, or any business. You get so hyped and so excited that you're getting all these customers, but you're not thinking about like, am I going to lose them? Like, you just like see this exponential growth curve that you guys are going to kill. So I think like some of the great points you brought up is for really focusing on your onboarding. Joey Coleman talks about the first 100 days and really thinking through that experience and what that touch is. I think even, it could even be the first like week. That's really important. I think that's important. I think you're thinking a lot around value and attention like afterwards. So, this new platform that you're setting up to give out content and bring in influencers, like maybe you guys will find it works or maybe it doesn't. But I think the point for the listeners is really bringing a lot of value to people and really putting a lot of attention into how can I serve our customers versus just focusing all the attention on how can I acquire new customers.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I had been talking about Mike Dillard, who's a really great example of that. Just always trying to provide value for people is such a great strategy. And said some things will work and some things won't. There's a ton of ways to provide value, whether it's through an exclusive app or just emails or Facebook posts or whatever that might be. But just really prioritizing providing value for people, I think it's going to benefit your business in the long run and even in the short term. Tenfold. Yeah,
it's huge. And it could be different strategies. Mike Dillard on this podcast talked about creating a podcast where he interviews people and just brings amazing content to people. Yep. Ryan from Treehouse got on this earlier where he was doing a lot of conferences and meetups and just building a lot of community and a lot of value with those people. So there's a ton of different strategies of how you could do it.
Absolutely, man. There's endless.
Yeah.
We're not even thinking of yet that don't even exist.
Yeah. Well,
beauty of technology.
Cool. Well, a couple more questions as we kind of wrap up. What's the one thing, Alex, that you guys did that you thought had the biggest impact on your growth?
That's a really good question. I mean, certainly video for us and prioritizing video and building, that's the real value that we were providing in the beginning, was making people laugh and making people feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves and having this kind of club feel. Video for us has been our best asset for acquisition, for retention, for building a tribe, for building our influence and everything like that. So I think it performs better than anything else that we do for the most part, and was really the secret to our success. So if you're not doing video for your business, I would look into it. If you are doing it, great job. Keep trying new stuff and keep making mistakes and figuring out what works and what doesn't for your business.
Cool. Okay. Alex, if you could go back in time and start over, what would you tell yourself?
Everything's going to be okay. In terms of like what lessons, or just an overall, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, just like, I think like any entrepreneur, like you go through it, and then everything was difficult and hard and maybe it took you 3 years, but if you had to start over, you could do it in like 1 year, like you learn a lot of how to just kind of figure things out.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of went over a lot of the stuff that I learned and stuff. Overall, I think, just that idea that it's all part of a process and there's no real finish line, because I figure there's new things that I want to try and do that I know that I don't know how to do. So after this, I'm sure I'm going to fall flat on my face a couple times, but just being fearless and being able to go out there and try new things is a really big key for us. But just the idea that everything is going to be okay. Try and have your eyes open and learn lessons and incorporate that and try not to make the same mistake twice. That's kind of the biggest takeaway. Unfortunately, I actually have walked in that and we've learned a lot along the process. So I feel pretty grateful for realizing when I'm being an idiot and trying to incorporate that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. For me, like one of the things that I've always struggled with, like you said, is being like present in the moment and enjoying the process, whether it's good or bad, because that's really hard to do, but it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a really great book for That's the Power of Now. I'm not sure if you've read that, but that's a really great transformational book. And I'm always looking to like, where's the finish line? Where can I get to here? And I'll be happy when this happens, but just kind of, hey, this is the now. This is okay. This might be all it ever is. And that's totally fine and cool. It's really hard for me to learn, but I'm trying to integrate that more and more into my life every day.
Okay, cool. Well, Alex, like where can people learn more about you?
I'm in the midst of throwing up my personal branding website. So it's thealexbrown.com, or they can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Alex, I'm really grateful for you to come on. I'm like rooting for you guys. I'm very excited for the next thing for you and for Dollar Beard Club, the Beard Club now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, Alex.
Yeah, much appreciated. I'm glad I could be here. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thanks again for listening to our show this week. If you want to find out more about Alex Brown and the Beard Club and the lessons he shared today, or read our show notes, visit leadquizzes.com/10. If you'd like to start generating more leads for your business and get a free trial to Lead Quizzes, go to leadquizzes.com/podcast. Next week, I'll be interviewing Luke Ford on how he built a $4.6 million recurring revenue-based business with over 9,500 customers. Please subscribe to our show so you don't miss this next episode. I'm Jeremy Ellens, and you've been listening to Journey to Seven Figures.